What's one misconception about the current freight market that you think needs to be cleared up today?
One misconception, I think
Yeah.
it's one of the things that people have commented on is the change.
Yeah.
And so people who aren't paying attention to freight are like, how do we go from inventory stock out risks and a pretty sharp slowdown in freight one week talking about a pretty significant slowdown, the next week being bullish? How does this bipolar level of uncertainty, of indecision, of contradictions happen? Context matters. The world, we're in a fog of war situation, but this is even fog of war. When the circumstances on the ground have changed, this is going to change. The slowdown in freight that we have seen since mid-February, the freight recovery that stopped, as you described it, has all been trade related and policy related. But now what we've seen is a pretty sharp, imagine if we had started the Trump administration with 145% tariffs. Let's imagine that had gone on for many, many years, and all of a sudden we got a new trade policy and we reduced it to 30%. There would be no one disputing the fact that there would be a massive surge. And so what we saw 2 weeks ago was a pretty significant slowdown due to this shock of 145%, where we went from, low tariffs to really high tariffs. And now we've seen a snap back where things are being significantly reduced. This is the bullwhip effect in real time.
Yeah, I think, we talked about this a little bit with the misconception that the freight market is, still in this depressed environment, when actually it's just not recovered enough, is the thing that I would call it. And this, as you're talking about these uncertainties really manifesting, uncertainties stagnate us. And then when you get some sort of messaging or clarification, they create these these very volatile moments. And that's the thing that's going to eventually it's going to manifest in a way that's going to be very confusing to a lot of people, because people are generally confused.
So there's a pricing analyst that is on X, and he likes to argue with me. He works at a very large logistics operator, and he likes to counterpoint. He said something I think is correct. Now, I've made counterpoints, but his point is the time when you see a massive acceleration in the market, a change of the guard, if you will, is there has to be a catalyst. And he brought up, hurricanes, weather events,